The tattoo of his name on my chest was still inflamed when my husband, the man who'd kept me captive for 4 years, handed me a divorce agreement. Encouraged by his pretty therapist, his voice was ice, cold. You're the source of my illness. I have to cut you out to become normal. On my chest, tattooed in ink, his name. Huo Shiken. Those 3 characters, it took me a month to work up the nerve. When the tattoo artist pressed the needle into my skin, stroke by careful stroke, I trembled all over, but I clenched my teeth and didn't make a sound. Because I was thinking of how Huo Sishen had once tattooed my name on his wrist. He'd said he would never have it removed, not in this lifetime. I wanted to tell him. I would never have mine removed either. I was his forever. He was mine forever. But I never got the chance to tell him. That day he came home from the office but didn't go down to the basement to see me like he usually did. Instead, he sat in the living room for a long time. I waited for 2 hours before I finally couldn't take it anymore and opened the door myself, a door that used to be locked, but for the past month, he'd stopped locking it. I walked out and saw a document on the coffee table in front of him. Lin Lu, come here. His voice was calm. Too calm for him. I approached and looked down. Divorce agreement. I thought he was joking. Whoa, Sichin, it's not April Fool's Day. I'm not joking. He leaned back against the sofa, not even looking at me. I want to be a normal person. I'm done with this, with all of this. I searched his face for something familiar. The madness, the obsession, the possessiveness. The things that once terrified me, but that I'd gradually grown accustomed to. There was nothing. His eyes were completely empty. What did you say? I said, divorce. He finally turned to look at me. His gaze was as detached as if I were a stranger. My doctor says I have obsessive personality disorder. You're bad for my condition. Lin Lu, I don't want to live like this anymore. Obsessive personality disorder. He'd been seeing a doctor. Which doctor said this? My voice started to shake. Vane King, my therapist. When he said her name, his voice was, somehow, gentler than when he said mine. She's very good. I've been in treatment with her for 2 months, and I'm making real progress. She says my obsessive personality disorder comes with separation anxiety, and the root cause is a pathological attachment to you. The only way to recover is to sever our connection entirely. 2 months. He'd been seeing a therapist for 2 months, and I hadn't known. So you're divorcing me over this? Yes. Hosichin, you've lost your mind. I shoved the agreement aside. I won't sign. His brow furrowed. The first time in 4 years I'd seen impatience on his face. Lin Lu, don't be difficult. I'm not being difficult. I moved in front of him, crouched down and looked into his eyes. Tell me, do you not love me anymore? Have you fallen for that doctor? I haven't. His voice remained level. I just want to get well. Then get well. Why do you need to divorce me for that? Because the doctor says you are the source of my illness. A flicker of emotion finally crossed his face, but it was irritation, not tenderness. Unless we separate completely, I'll never recover. Lin Lu, don't you see that our relationship isn't normal? I locked you up for 4 years. You were locked up for 4 years. This isn't love, it's sickness. I opened my mouth to argue. But I realized I couldn't say. Our relationship is perfectly normal. 'Cause it wasn't. 4 years ago, he'd taken me from a bar and locked me in the basement of this villa. I'd cried, begged, fought, cursed. None of it moved him. He'd said, Lin Lu, you're mine. Don't even think about running. Not in this lifetime. I'd hated him, but somewhere along the way, I'd gotten used to it. Used to him coming to see me every morning. Used to him holding me as he fell asleep every night. Used to those obsessive eyes that saw no one but me. For as long as I could remember, no one had ever cared about me like that. After my parents' divorce, they'd each gone their own way. I'd been kicked around like a ball. Nobody remembered my birthday. Nobody remembered my birthday. Nobody asked if I was happy. Nobody held me in the dark and whispered, "Don't be scared. I'm here." Woe Sitchin was the first. Yes, he'd locked me up. But he was the first. Whew, Sitchin. I raised my head, voice cracking. I don't care whether it's normal or not. All I care about is whether you still care about me. He was silent for a long time. I care about you, he finally said. But the way I care about you is wrong. Dr. Wen says that if this continues, I'll destroy you. I'm not afraid. I am. He stood, picked up the divorce agreement, and placed it in my hands. Sign it. I'll give you enough money to live on for the rest of your life. You can go anywhere you want, do anything you want. I looked at the cold document in my hands and suddenly laughed. Hosichin, has it occurred to you that I haven't set foot outside this door in 4 years? Do you know what the world out there even looks like anymore? Do you know I can't even figure out how to use mobile payment? You turned me into this, and now you tell me to go anywhere I want. Where exactly am I supposed to go? Something flickered in his eyes, but the damned composure returned almost instantly. That's why I'll give you time to adjust. You can stay here for now, until you find a suitable place. I don't want your money. Then what do you want? The words stuck in my throat and wouldn't come out. I thought of something. The tattoo on my chest. I hoped it might win me a shred of compassion. Hosichin, there's something I need to tell you. I stood, my hand going to my collar. He glanced at my hand, then looked away. Linlu, don't. You don't even know what it is. Whatever it is, don't. He turned his back to me. I've made up my mind. Whether you sign or not, the law allows me to divorce you. I'd just rather not make it ugly. I stared at his back. My fingers white. Jin knuckled on my collar. I didn't sign the agreement. Over the next few days, Huo Sichin didn't come to the basement at all. The housekeeper delivered meals on schedule. Cleaned on schedule. I was like a forgotten piece of furniture, left to gather dust. No one asked. No one cared. On the 4th night, I couldn't take it. I opened the door and went upstairs. The living room lights were on, but Huo Sichin wasn't there. The study door was ajar, and voices drifted out. I crept over and peered through the crack. Huo Sichin sat behind the desk. Across from him sat a woman, about 30, short hair, glasses, wearing a cream, cheese-colored sweater. She looked sharp and gentle at the same time. She held a notebook and was writing something. Mr. Huo, that's all for today's session. Kinder, you're doing very well. We'll continue next week. Thank you, Dr. Wen. Do you remember the breathing technique I taught you last time? Use it when the anxiety hits. It helps a lot. I remember. Good. See you next week. She stood and began collecting her things. Huo Sichin rose too and walked around the desk toward her. Dr. Wen, he said, and his voice, completely different from the way he spoke to me, carried a careful, almost humble tenderness. I still get the urge sometimes. The urge to go check if she's there. But it's much better than before. That's a normal withdrawal response. Wenxing looked up at him and smiled. You're doing very well, Mr. Wu. Recovery from obsessive personality disorder takes time. Be patient with yourself. I will. He paused. Thank you. Dr. Wen-Wen-Ching picked up her bag and paused at the door. "Oh, Mr. Huo, about your wife. She hasn't signed the agreement." His voice turned cold again. "But it's fine. I'll handle it. Would you like me to speak with her? As a therapist, I could help with some emotional processing." Hua Xichen hesitated. "No. I'll deal with her situation myself." Wen-Ching nodded, opened the door, and left. Wei-Ching nodded. Huo Xichen stood alone in the study, staring at the doorway she'd walked through for a very long time. The expression on his face was one of dependence. That look, it reminded me of the way he used to look at me. But now, he was looking at another woman. My hands began to tremble. Not from cold. From jealousy. I suddenly understood. Huo Xichen had transferred his feelings for me onto someone else. This woman, Wen-Ching, had taken my place. He depended on her, trusted her, was perfectly obedient in her presence. And I had become the source of illness he wanted to quit. After that, I began secretly observing Huo Xichen and Wen-Ching together. Wen-Ching came 3 times a week, about an hour each visit, sometimes in the study, sometimes in the living room. Her voice was always gentle, and Huo Xichen was always compliant. Once, after Wen-King left, Huo Xichen actually smiled. He was alone in the living room, sitting in the spot where Wen-King had just been, the corners of his mouth slightly turned up. I hid behind the staircase landing, watching that smile, my heart clenching like a fist. In 4 years together, he had never smiled at me like that. His smiles for me had always been obsessive, manic, shot through with possessiveness. Never this relaxed, at ease. That doctor really did seem to be curing him. But if he got better, what happened to me? Desperate not to lose him, I bristled like a hedgehog. The next time Wen-Ching came, I deliberately walked out of the basement, sat down in the living room, and planted myself on Huo Xichen's lap right in front of her. "Ren's, honey, let's play a game." He used to love playing games with me, but now he merely glanced at me, his brow creasing. "Lin Lu, I'm in a session. Go back downstairs." "I don't want to. I want to stay. I'm your wife. I have a right to know about your treatment." I turned to Wen-Ching with a smile. "Don't you agree, doctor?" Then King's expression remained calm. She glanced at Huo Xichen, then addressed me. "Mrs. Huo, if you'd like to talk as well, I can schedule a separate time for you." "No need," I said. "I just want to hear how you're treating my husband's illness and how you're talking him into divorcing me." Huo's face darkened. "Lin Lu, enough. It's not enough." I stood and walked up to Wen-Ching. "Dr. Wen, what methods are you using? Hypnosis? Talk therapy? Or seduction?" "Lin Lu!" Huo Xichen shot to his feet, stepping between me and Wen Kuang, his eyes icy yet cold. "One more word, and I'll have the housekeeper remove you from this room." Remove me? He'd locked me in here for 4 years, and now he wanted to remove me? "Huo Xichen, can't you see? You can't wait for me to leave so you two can be together openly." "What the hell are you talking about?" Suppressed fury edged his voice. "Am I wrong?" I pointed at Wen-Ching. "Look at how you look at her. That expression. You used to look at me the same way. You think I can't tell?" Wen-Ching rose, bag in hand, her tone still mild. "Mr. Huo, let's end today's session here. Mrs. Huo seems quite upset. You two should sort things out first. I'll come another time."
"Dr. Wen, I'm sorry," Huo Shichen said. Wen-Ching shook her head.
As she passed me, she murmured, "Mrs. Huo, I'm a doctor. I'm not what you think." Then she left. The moment the door closed, Huo Shichen whipped around and slammed his palm against the wall. "Lin Lu, what are you trying to do?" "I'm trying to find out if you still want me." I've already told you I need to get well. And getting well means throwing me away and replacing me with another woman? Dr. Wen isn't a replacement. She's my doctor, he was nearly shouting. Can't you act normal for once? Normal. That word again. I'm not normal, I laughed. Laughed until the tears came. Hua Sishin, you kept me locked up for 4 years, and now you're calling me abnormal? That's exactly why you're not normal, because I locked you up for 4 years. He stared at me, chest heaving. Look at yourself. Hysterical, paranoid, suspicious of everyone. This isn't who you used to be. Then who was I before? Before, you were. He trailed off as if he suddenly realized he didn't remember either. 4 years of captivity had changed not just me, but his memory of me. Posichin. I wiped my eyes and looked at him. Answer me, honestly. Are you in love with Wenqing? No. Then say it to my face. He met my gaze. Those eyes that once held nothing but me were now hollow. Lin Lu, I'm not in love with Wenqing, but I depend on her, his voice sank, because she can help me become normal. And you only remind me of how abnormal I am. That hurt worse than any slap, because all I did was remind him he wasn't normal. Well, Wenqing could make him normal. Fine. I took a step back, my voice barely above a whisper. Hua Shijin, I'll sign the divorce. He blinked. What? I said I'll sign, but I have a condition. What condition? Let me see Wenqing. I want to talk to her alone. Hua Xiqin was quiet for a long time, then said, All right, I'll arrange it. I met Wenqing at a coffee shop. She wasn't wearing her white coat. A pale blue blouse instead, softer ginseed and moling than usual. Mrs. Huo, what would you like to talk about? She sat down and asked politely. Don't call me that, I said. Ho Sichin and I are about to be divorced. She nodded. Dr. Wen, I want to know what exactly is wrong with Huo Sichin. Obsessive personality disorder with separation anxiety. She said, it manifests as pathological attachment to a specific person, extreme possessiveness, and acute anxiety upon separation. The reason he locked you up was his terror of losing you. So you're saying he shouldn't have locked me up? Of course not. Wenqing's expression was earnest. What he did was illegal and profoundly unhealthy. But I thought it meant he loved me too much. Love isn't possession, Wenqing said. Love is respect, freedom. He gave you no freedom. So what he felt wasn't love, it was illness. I studied her face, searching for any hint of insincerity. There was none. She genuinely believed she was doing the right thing. So he's much better now? Significantly, she said. His anxiety levels have dropped considerably. He no longer depends on you the way he did. With more time, he should be able to make a complete recovery. And after he recovers? Will he still be able to love someone? Wenqing looked surprised. Of course, she said. He'll just do it in a healthy way. Does he love you? Wenqing's expression shifted. Not guilt, but offense. Mrs. Huo, Mr. Huo, and I have a strictly professional relationship. I treat all my patients the same way. But he doesn't treat you the same way he treats everyone else, I said. I can see it. Wenqing paused. Even if he's developed a dependency on me, that's a normal transference phenomenon in therapy. Once treatment ends, that dependency will fade on its own. Dr. Wen, have you considered the possibility that you might be treating the wrong thing? What do you mean? What Huo Sichin did locking me up was absolutely wrong, I said. But his fear of losing me was real. You've taken a blunt axe to his attachment to me. Will that actually cure him? For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty appeared in Wenqing's eyes. I said nothing more. I stood. Dr. Wen, thank you for agreeing to meet. I'll sign the papers, but I want you to know what you've taken apart is a marriage, not two names on a case file. I turned and walked out. The sunlight outside stung my eyes. I touched the tattoo on my chest. Those 3 characters were still swollen. I remembered the night I'd gotten it. The artist had asked, "You're sure?" "Once it's on, it doesn't come off." I'd said, "I'm sure I'm his for the rest of my life." And then he didn't want me anymore. The next day, I signed the divorce agreement. H.O. Sijin stared at my signature for a long time. Lin Lu, I'll have Assistant Chen help you find an apartment. Anything you need, just tell him. No need, I said. I'll manage on my own. You haven't been outside in 4 years. And whose fault is that? I met his eyes. Hu Sichin, from today my life is none of your concern. His lips moved as if to speak, but in the end, he said nothing. I went upstairs and started packing. There wasn't much to pack. For 4 years, I'd worn clothes he'd bought, used things he'd provided. I didn't want to take any of it. All I took was a diary and the tattoo on my chest. At the door, he called out, "Lin Lu!" I stopped but didn't turn around. What are you going to do? I don't know, but I'll figure something out. If you need help, he paused. I know someone, Shen Xian, an old friend of mine. He studied psychology. I'm not saying you need a therapist. You don't need to be treated like a patient. I just thought you might need someone to talk to. I turned and looked at him. You think I need help? You need someone with you, he said. Lin Lu, the last 4 years were my fault. But you're alone now, and I'm worried. I laughed. Oh, Sichin, you're worried about me? Yes. But you're divorcing me. Those 2 things aren't contradictory. His voice was very low. I want you to be okay. Just not with me. Looking at him, I suddenly felt sorry for him. A man so obsessive he'd gone mad, undone by a therapist's words until he barely resembled himself. He wanted to let go but couldn't do it cleanly. He wanted to love me but was afraid to. Fine, I said. Give me his contact information. Shen Xian was nothing like I'd expected. I'd assumed any friend of Huo Sichin's would share some of his traits, obsessive, domineering, with an air of menace. But Shen Xian wasn't like that at all. About 30, silver gem-framed glasses, dressed casually. When he smiled, his eyes curved into crescents, more like a college professor than a businessman. He suggested we meet at a small tea house. No white coat, no medical equipment. He came carrying a bag of tangerines. Lin Lu? He walked over and sat down naturally. Hi, I'm Shen Xian. Huo Sichin asked me to check on you, but don't get the wrong idea. I'm not here as a doctor. I'm just a friend of his who heard you're going through a rough time. Thought I'd come keep you company. Aren't you a psychologist? I asked. I studied psychology and did clinical work. But I'm not your doctor, he said, pushing the tangerines toward me. So you can relax. Nothing you say will go into a medical file, and I won't be prescribing anything. Just 2 people talking. I looked at him. There was something genuine about this man. Huo, Shishin said you used to be his private therapist. That was years ago. Shen Xian peeled a tangerine and handed me half. After his parents died, his grandfather hired me to be with him. He was in bad shape. I stayed for most of a year. When he stabilized, I moved on. Now we're just friends. we keep in touch. So, he asked, and you came? He rarely asks anyone for anything, Shen Shiyan said. He told me you're out here alone. No friends, no family, and he was afraid something would happen. I thought about it and figured coming wouldn't hurt. I looked at the tangerine segment in my hand and suddenly felt like crying. So, while Xishan had locked me up, then thrown me away. And after throwing me away, he's still worried, so he sent a friend to watch over me. Did he want to be good to me or not? Shen Xian, I looked up. Do you think Huo Xishan has obsessive personality disorder? Shen Xian was quiet for a moment. I'm not his doctor, so I can't make a diagnosis, he said. But I can tell you what I see. He lost his parents young and was raised by his grandfather, who was too busy with the family business to spend much time with him. He's deeply terrified of abandonment, so he uses the most extreme measures to keep the people he cares about close. That behavioral pattern does align with some features of obsessive personality disorder. So Wenqing is right? Her diagnosis isn't wrong, Shen Xian said. But I don't entirely agree with her treatment approach. Why not? Because the core of treating obsessive personality disorder isn't severing attachment relationships, it's helping the patient build secure attachment patterns. He looked at me. Have you ever seen a child learning to walk? Can't carry them forever, but you can't just dump them in the middle of the road either. You hold their hand, ease your grip gradually, and let them find their own footing. What Wenqing did was drop the child in the road. And then, I prompted, then the child either falls badly or desperately latches onto someone else. I stiffened. You're saying Wenqing got the treatment wrong? I can't say that. Shen Xian smiled faintly. Every doctor has their own methods. I just think her approach carries significant risks for someone like Huo Xishan. What risks? The source of his illness isn't Lin Lu as a person, it's the fear of loss. You cut off his connection to you, but the fear is still there. Fear needs an outlet. It either turns inward or it redirects somewhere else. I thought of the way Huo Shichen looked at Wen Qing, and something clicked. So he's transferred his dependency to Wenqing? Probably, Shen Xian sighed. Transference is common in therapy. The problem is, Wen Sheneng hasn't handled it well. I was quiet for a long time. Shen Xian, what should I do? You? He looked at me and smiled. You don't need to do anything. You've already left that environment. What you need most right now is to relearn how to live on your own. As for Huo Xichen, he has his doctor. He has his path. That's his business. But I still love him. The words came out before I could stop them. I still loved him? The man who'd locked me away for 4 years and then wanted a divorce? Menxian didn't look surprised. You love him. That's not strange. He were together for 4 years. He gave you something no one else ever had the feeling of being cared about. Even if the way he cared was wrong, the feeling was real. You love that feeling, so you think you love him. So I don't love him? I don't know, Shen Xian said. Only you can answer that. He offered me another tangerine segment. Have a tangerine first. Don't overthink it. I took it and put it in my mouth. Sweet. I hadn't tasted anything this sweet in a very long time. From then on, Shen Xian came to see me every week. He never once positioned himself as a doctor, never made a single diagnosis. He said he was Huo Xishan's friend, and now mine too. He took me to do many things. The first time I stepped outside the hotel, I froze at the entrance, watching people stream past on the sidewalk, and suddenly began to tremble. What are you afraid of? He asked. I'm afraid they'll stare at me. They won't, he said. Everyone's busy. Nobody has time to stare. Let's test it. Take 10 steps. If it doesn't feel right, we'll go back. I took 10 steps. Nobody looked at me. I took 10 more. Still nothing. See? He walked beside me. Not too close. Not too far. In this city, you're just an ordinary person. No one is going to single you out and no one is going to hurt you. But Huo Sichin used to tell me everyone was watching me.
Hua Sichin has obsessive personality disorder, Shen Xian said.
He sees the world differently from most people. Do you think what he told you was reliable? I blinked. He was right. Huo Sichin had a disorder. A lot of what he'd said might not have been true. But I spent 4 years at his side. I believed every word. So now what we need to do slowly is remove the things from your head that weren't true.
Shen Xian looked at me. No rush. We have all the time in the world. He took me to a supermarket and told me to pick whatever I wanted.
I stood before the shelves, staring at the endless rows of products and burst into tears. I don't know what I like to eat, I said. For 4 years I ate whatever he gave me. Then start finding out today, he said. Chips today, chocolate tomorrow, yogurt the day after. Keep trying until you find what you like. What if I don't like any of it? Then throw it away, he said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Lin Lu, you're allowed to not like something. Nobody is going to punish you for choosing wrong. Nobody is going to punish you for choosing wrong. That sentence struck me like a bolt. In Huo Xing's world, choosing wrong meant punishment. Wore pajamas he didn't like change immediately. Ate something he disapproved of, spit it out. Said something he didn't want to hear, apologize. But here was Shen Xian telling me it was okay to not like something. I bought a pile of snacks, tried a bite of each, and discovered I liked plain salted chips. See, you found something you like. Shen Xian smiled. I held that bag of chips and smiled. It was the first time I genuinely smiled since leaving Huo Sichin. Days passed. Shen Xian came 2 or 3 times a week. We spent time together like friends. He took me hiking, to concerts, to dinner at his friends' homes. His friends were all good people. Nobody asked about my past. Nobody looked at me strangely. I was starting to feel like a normal person. One evening, Shen Xian walked me back to the hotel and stood at the door for a long time. Lin Lu, there's something I want to say. He hesitated. Never mind. Another time. Shen Xian, are you in love with me? He froze, then laughed. Is it that obvious? Yes. And you? He looked at me. Do you like me? I went quiet. I touched the tattoo on my chest. Huo Sichin's name was still there. Shen Xian, I can't answer that yet, I said. Not because I don't like you, but because I'm not sure whether what I feel is real or just gratitude. I don't want to mistake thankfulness for love. His eyes were very gentle. Lin Lu, do you know what Huo Sichin said when he asked me to come? He said, Shen Xian, keep an eye on her for me. Don't let anything happen to her. I remember thinking that might be the sanest thing he'd ever said in his life. What do you mean? Because before, he would never have let anyone near you. Shen Xian said, he locked you up precisely because he was afraid someone would take you away. Now he's deliberately sending me to be with you. That means he's genuinely trying to change. His methods are clumsy, and Wen Qing's treatment plan has problems. But he's trying. What are you getting at? I'm saying if you do fall for me someday, it won't be because you betrayed him. It'll be because he pushed you toward me with his own hands. Shen Xian looked into my eyes. You haven't wronged anyone, Lin Lu. That night, back in my room, I lay in bed thinking for a long time. I touched the tattoo on my chest. The 3 characters were no longer swollen, but they were still there. I'd once believed my whole life's destination was written in those 3 characters. Now suddenly, I wasn't so sure. A month later, Shen Xian and I were together.
Not because I needed him, not out of gratitude, not from loneliness. Simply because being with him felt safe. That safety was nothing like the safety of the basement.
In the basement, I felt safe because I knew Huosishin would never let me escape. That was the safety of being caged. With Shenxian, I felt safe because I knew he would never cage me.
I could leave at any time. And I chose, of my own free will, to stay. Shenxian, I asked one day as we walked, you said you and Huoji being with me now. Doesn't that feel like a betrayal?
Shenxian was quiet for a while. We were friends. But that friendship changed the moment he locked you up. He sighed. I tried to talk him out of it. Told him to let you go. He wouldn't listen. Later, even his grandfather found out, but the old man was afraid of pushing him over the edge, so he told me to stay out of it. So you just watched? I watched, he said, head lowered. Lin Lu, I don't have the right to claim anyone has wronged anyone. 'Cause when you needed help most, I did nothing. What I'm doing now is just making up for my own cowardice.
Then I took his hand. Shenxian, you don't owe me anything. You had no obligation to save me.
We were nothing to each other back then. But I wanted to save you, he said. From the very first time I saw you in Huosishin's house, I wanted to. Psst. Something inside me went soft. Not a flutter of the heart, just the quiet warmth of being moved. Someone had watched over you in silence for 4 years, and when you were finally free, he came to your side and walked you out of the dark one careful step at a time.
That wasn't taking advantage. That was patience. Shenxian. I rose on my toes and kissed the corner of his mouth. Thank you for waiting this long.
He blinked, then smiled, a smile edged with the faintest sheen of moisture. Lin Lu. He pulled me close, chin resting on the top of my head. And thank you for being willing to walk toward me.
News that Shenxian and I were together reached Huosichin quickly.
I was at Shenxian's place having dinner when his phone rang.
He glanced at the screen, and his expression shifted.
It's Huosichin. Answer it, I said. He did. The voice on the other end was loud enough for me to hear. Shenxian, are you with Lin Lu? Yes. You son of a... Huosichin's voice was trembling.
You're my friend, and you.
Huosichin, calm down, Shenxian said. His tone even... Listen to me.
First, you and Lin Lu are divorced. She's single. Second, you asked me to be with her. Third,
I didn't ask you to be with her. When you sent me to her, did you think about what might happen? Shenxian countered. You pushed her out the door. Were you expecting her to spend the rest of her life alone? Never date, never marry, just exist in solitude?
long silence on the other end. Huosichin, Shenxian's voice dropped. I know you still love her.
But when you chose to let go, you should have understood what letting go means. It means she no longer belongs to you. Call disconnected. Shenxian set the phone on the table and looked at me. Lin Lu, if one day you want to go back to him... I won't, I said. Shenxian, it took me 6 months to walk out. I'm not going back. You don't hate him? No. I thought about it. He's sick. Wenqing told him his love was a disease that needed to be excised. He believed her. So he cut me out. He was wrong. But I don't hate him, and I don't love him anymore. Shenxian held my gaze for a long time, making sure. Then he smiled. Lin Lu, do you know when I fell for you, truly, completely? When? The first time you came out of the supermarket, carrying a bag of plain chips, smiling and saying, I found something I like. He paused. In that moment, I thought, There is no one braver in this world. I felt self-conscious under his gaze. Looked down, then looked back up.
Shen, will we get married someday?
Yes, he said without hesitation. When you're fully healed. When you're sure you truly love me and aren't just used to having me around, then I'll marry you. Aren't you afraid I'll take too long? No. He squeezed my hand. I waited 4 years. What's another 4? A year later, Shen and I got engaged. I didn't see Huo Saichen again, but news of him reached me through Shen now and then. Wenxing's treatment had failed. Far from easing, Huo Sichen's symptoms had worsened sharply once his attachment object was gone. He'd become violent. During one episode, he'd pushed Wenqing, injuring her. She later surrendered her license and left the profession.
Sichen was sent by his family to a treatment facility overseas.
Shen said the facility had excellent doctors with a completely different approach. They didn't demand he cut off his attachments. They helped him build healthy ones.
Will he get better? I asked.
Maybe, Shen said. It could take a long time, but he's young. He's got time. Do you hope he gets better? Of course, Shen said. He's my friend.
I leaned against Shen shoulder and closed my eyes.
I'd heard that Huo Sichen had had the tattoo on his wrist removed. But on my chest, those 3 characters remained. I hadn't removed them, not because I still loved him, but because they were part of me. I'd been hurt. I didn't need to pretend otherwise. Shen never asked me to have it removed. Once, he noticed it.
He just brushed his fingers lightly over it and asked, "Does it hurt?"
I said, "It stopped hurting a long time ago," he said. "Then leave it," I asked. "Doesn't it bother you?" He thought about it. If he hadn't been part of your life, you wouldn't be the person you are now. I fell in love with who you are now. So no, it doesn't bother me. I cried. Not from sadness, because I finally knew with certainty that I'd chosen the right person. The wedding was set for spring. Shen said he wanted to hold it in a small garden with just a few friends. I said yes. That day I stood beneath the garden arch in a white dress. Shen walked toward me from the other end. He wore a dark gray suit with new glasses, smiling tenderly. I watched him come through the sunlight, and my heart went perfectly still. No nerves, no fear, none of that old dread wondering will he stop wanting me, because I knew he wouldn't leave. Not because he'd lock me in, because he simply wouldn't go. "Lin Lu," he said, stopping before me and looking down. "You look beautiful today." "So do you." I smiled. He held out his hand. I took it. His hand was warm, but not scalding. His grip was firm, but not enough to hurt. We exchanged rings, simple silver bands, no diamonds, no elaborate designs. Shen said, marriage wasn't a chain. It was 2 people choosing to walk side by side. And I choose to. After the ceremony, I changed out of my wedding dress and stood before the mirror. Below my collarbone, the tattoo was still there, but with time, those 3 characters had grown fainter. I touched them, heart calm, and walked out of the room.
Shen was waiting at the door. "Let's go, wife."
"Let's go, husband." The setting sun stretched our shadows long across the ground.
I glanced back once at the garden, then turned my gaze forward.
The road ahead was long. But I wasn't alone anymore.